Hi everyone, this is Frank DeMore with the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. And if you're new to my YouTube channel, I would like to invite you to go to my website where you can download my documentary on Bible prophecy and current events for free there. Just go to www.bibleprophecyman.com. And when you're there, you'll see excuse me, the front and back cover of the book, and right below it will be a link. Now I've changed a little bit of the format up at my website, so that after the post you will see the link at the bottom of it. It's the free link. You'll see it at the bottom instead of at the top now. Excuse me. Well, what I want to share with you today is some news that just came out, and obviously today is July the 8th of 2011. I want to share some news that relates to Bible prophecy and current events to tie these events in. Now yesterday, in my post yesterday, I gave you some information about the declining of America and how, excuse me, in the book of Daniel, the book that shows us all of the nations, the world powers that were going to be coming into existence from the time that Daniel was alive all the way until the second coming of Jesus Christ. God showed us in that book exactly who it was going to be from Daniel's generation all the way to the second coming of Christ, who the powers would be one after another. And we know from the book of Daniel, specifically chapters 2 and chapter 7, which I recommend that you read, God shows us that it was the kingdom that he was going to face when he came back to fight against the Antichrist would be a kingdom of the revived Roman Empire. Nothing is said about the United States at all in the book of Daniel. There isn't one sentence given in the book of Daniel about the United States. But there's a lot of specific information about the revived Roman Empire. And Jesus also discusses this in the book of Revelation. And you'll see, for example, in chapter 17, where he talks about the 10 kings that these leaders, these 10 world leaders, would be giving all their power over to this man, the Antichrist, and he would rule the world. And if you've read the book of Revelation, you know that in chapter 13 that it says that nobody will be able to buy or sell anything unless they take this mark of this beast. And so I want to show you, and I've been pointing out for a very, very long time now. In 2008, for example, I started to warn the people there would be hundreds of thousands of jobs lost every single month. And if you watch the news every month, you would see this taking place. Now, the reason why I said this is because there has to be a power shift. And since America has been predominantly the superpower for the last, let's just go back for 50 years. They've been a superpower, but what's happening is their power is now declining. It's starting to crumble. Everybody should know that the debt limit is now $14 trillion. And in August, we're already into July, August, if they can't come up with a budget, then they'll default on their loans. So this is where the United States is living in a really precarious time. But one thing is clear: the United States power is declining around the world. And this is happening so that we're getting ready for the last world power to take effect when the Americans, the economy collapses. And we've already seen a lot of the events that are leading up to this collapse. Not only is the debt killing off the dollar and killing off the economy, but we see the effects. Now, for example, in today's news, I'm going to read this for you. And this came out just today, and it's talking about, obviously, declining in the jobs. And again, in Daniel chapter 2 and chapter 7, we have the details of this last world empire. And the job losses is just a little part of the big picture, the prophecy pictures that's going to propel this world government to shoot up when there's chaos because of the economic collapse. And we've already seen that there's not just the United States, but the European Union and many nations other than that that are in serious financial problems. It says nothing is, let me quote this. It says, hiring slowed to a stagnant pace last month, pushing unemployment rate up to the third consecutive month and raising questions about whether the economy has what it takes to climb out of the post-recession slump. Now, I told people back in 2008, get away from the recession. Every time that the news talks about the recession slump, you better replace this recession slump, with depression, because this is where America is headed. Now, I know that this isn't a popular view to say this, and I know that people don't want to hear this, but reality shows us this is where the nation is headed. Now, it goes on to say the Labor Department reported Friday that the employers added just 18,000 net jobs in June, the fewest in 9 months. The jobless rate ticked up to 9.2% from 9.1%. So even the job unemployment is getting worse, and the job rate is climbing even higher. The jobless rate is climbing higher, which is not an indication that there's any kind of recovery. It's just the opposite. It says that the pace of job growth is not even enough to keep up with the population growth. It would take 125,000 jobs per month to do so, and certainly not to bring down the unemployment rate. Now, it goes on to say that since Obama took office, the economy is down 2.5 million jobs. The jobless rate has been at 9% or higher for 24 of the past 26 months. In June, businesses added fewer jobs in more than a year. Governments cut 39,000 jobs over the past 9 months. So none of this is good news for the American economy. And the more jobs that are lost, the fewer people we have to pay into the coffer, the tax coffer. And this has been one of the major problems in the United States for some time now, because the government is running out of money. Now, I just listened to ABC News today, and you probably understand that the United States government is working on a budget, and they can't come to agreement on this budget. But here's the bottom line. If you go to tax people who already are living at the edge, I mean, a lot of people are weighing whether they can buy food or pay doctor bills or get drugs. And it's becoming a situation in America like the Americans have never seen before. But I hate to be a bad news bearer, but if the Lord showed us that the last days, that the world empire, the last world empire would be a revived Roman Empire, you know that America will decline to give way to this brand new empire that will be taking over the world. And so the decline of America is just part and parcel of the huge prophecy picture that is fast now. I mean, it's really speeding up in these last days to bring about not only the world government, but the person who will run the world government, the Antichrist. Now, a lot of people have wanted to know if the Antichrist is alive. Yes, he is. And we don't know who he is. I'm not even sure if the Antichrist knows who he is yet, because we do know the Antichrist is going to be an incarnate of Satan. It's just that we're pretty close to that point, but nobody can tell you for sure exactly what area that he will come from. Will he come from the Islamic nations of the old Roman Empire? Will he come from the European Union, the Western nations of the old Roman Empire? This is what we're still looking at. I'm not going to be centering and giving you the exact place because I don't know, and a lot of people want to know that question, but we need to watch the prophecy because we're seeing new things come up. And Daniel showed us also in the book of Daniel in chapter 12 that the last generation would increase in knowledge, which we are definitely getting knowledge, and we're seeing the events and we're putting the puzzles together because we in this generation know now why, for example, the United States isn't mentioned in the book of Daniel at all. It's because something happened to the United States that they weren't even given a sentence as part of a world power, or for that matter, any kind of power. There isn't anything mentioned. And so when I hear and I see on the internet that people are saying that the United States is the last world empire, it's simply not the case. As a matter of fact, it's just the opposite. When you look at who's running the country, Barack Obama, who's running the country into the ground, and they're saying that he's the Antichrist. When you read the book of Revelation, when you read the book of Daniel, what Barack Obama is the exact opposite of what we see that the Antichrist will be. The Antichrist is a person who's going to bring, or seem to bring, the world economy together and be somebody who has all the answers. Obviously, Barack Obama doesn't have the answers. If he did, we wouldn't see the unemployment rate shoot up to 9.2, the jobless rate. And so that's the way it is. And just keep watching the news. And as I said back in 2008, unfortunately, we're going to see hundreds of thousands of more people lose their jobs every month. Now, last month, if you read yesterday, I believe it was 418,000 jobs lost. That's almost 500,000 jobs. And this has been going on for a very, very long time. And when you don't add jobs and you take away that tax base and the money isn't going into the coffers, the only thing that can happen is business is declining. More jobs will be let go because people are not spending, and you're just in a vicious cycle. So scroll down now, and we're going to go to a prophecy about China, and I'm going to explain how China is involved in the big prophecy picture, and I think you'll find this very interesting. Thanks.